Switch libraries change fast, and there's a wave of games worth tracking right now, from cozy sims to co-op adventures to a one-piece game that has nothing to do with fighting. Some of these are already out, some are still in development. Here's 10 worth keeping on your radar, counting down from 10 to the one that lands soonest. Orbitals comes from Shape Farm, a Tokyo studio published by Kepler Interactive, and it's a Switch 2 exclusive landing September 3rd, 2026. It's a co-op puzzle adventure built around two explorers, Maki and Omura, trying to save their crumbling space station from a supernatural cosmic storm. The whole thing leans hard into 90s anime, think Cowboy Bebop and Evangelion, with handcrafted cutscenes from Studio Masket and full voice acting in multiple languages, including Japanese and English. Gameplay is asymmetric, so each player gets different tools and has to lean on the other to get through puzzles and asteroid fields, rather than both of you doing the same thing side by side. It runs on Unreal Engine 5, supports local split screen with two Joy-Con 2 pairs, and uses Game Share so a second player doesn't need to own a copy to join in, either locally or online. There's also a global Friends Pass that lets an invited friend play the full co-op campaign for free as long as the host owns the game.
You're getting the hang of this.
I'm so excited!
Studio Drydock, the team behind Wylde Flowers, is working on a prequel called Wylde Society. Instead of the farm, you're playing Vivian Wylde, a witch and socialite running a magical boarding house in Fairhaven at the turn of the century. Days revolve around hosting balls, matchmaking tenants, and dabbling in witchcraft after hours, all wrapped in an Edwardian period drama aesthetic that's closer to Bridgerton than anything farm sim. It's built with branching choices, so friendships, romances, and town gossip shift depending on how you decide to run the house and who you decide to help. Renovating and expanding the boarding house itself is a core loop too, tied into how many guests you can host and what kind of events you can throw. No platforms or firm release date have been locked in yet. Drydock has only said more details are coming, but Wylde Flowers is already on Switch, Steam, and Apple Arcade, so a Switch version of the prequel is a reasonable bet.
Ingredients and your coven. You can use rituals for things like brewing potions faster, changing the weather, or even growing a bridge to explore new areas.
Natsume's next Harvest Moon entry, Echoes of Teradea, is now set for October 15th, 2026 on Switch and Switch 2 after a short delay from its original September 24th date. You start out in Bloomfield Village as a strange mist spreads from the Forest of Echoes, wolves start appearing at night, and earthquakes and other disasters begin hitting nearby villages, so you and your best friend set off to figure out what's causing it. Beyond the usual farming and animal raising, this one adds an animal companion system for traversal, where different creatures help you reach hidden areas or clear obstacles, plus campsites for resting and cooking on long trips away from your farm, and expanded movement like jumping, climbing ladders, and scaling vines. 10 romance options are confirmed, 5 bachelors and 5 bachelorettes, and there are power statue mini-challenges scattered around the world for extra rewards. Pathea Games is following up My Time at Sandrock with My Time at Evershine, set 3 years after that game's story. This time, you're not just a workshop owner. You're the governor of a brand new frontier settlement on the edge of the Free Cities, recruiting citizens and building up infrastructure while the Duvos Empire presses in from the north over disputed ruins. The art style has shifted towards something more realistic than past entries, with motion-captured character animation, and character relationships are getting more weight, since you can recruit up to 3 followers to join you on daily tasks, or send them off on missions across the frontier. Beyond the city-building layer, there's still crafting, exploration, ancient mysteries to dig into, and romance options to pursue. 4-player online co-op is confirmed too, letting friends help build and explore together. It's currently set for 2027 on Switch 2. From Wombat Brawler, the studio behind the fishing game Cast and Chill, Wild and Chill moves the action onto land for a cozy wilderness survival game set deep in the Canadian and Alaskan backcountry. You forage, hunt, trap, and fish your way through 11 distinct regions, from muddy marshes to snowy mountain peaks, while keeping food, water, and energy in check, and building up everything from a leaky lean-to to a proper cabin, smokehouse, or hunting hide. There's a wilderness journal to fill out too, with over 40 animal species and more than 20 fish to track down, and a couple of strange hermits living out in the wild who'll trade supplies if you bring the right items. A loyal dog companion helps retrieve game and warns you about nearby danger, wolves and bears included. It supports solo play or up to 4 players in online co-op, splitting chores like hunting, gathering, and carpentry. Fields of Mistria hit its 1.0 release on PC on August 5th, 2026, coming soon on Switch, wrapping up its story content after roughly 2 years in early access. It's a farming and life sim with a fantasy twist, drawing heavily from Harvest Moon, Rune Factory, and Stardew Valley, with a noticeable Sailor Moon influence showing up in the character portraits and overall art direction. You settle into the town of Mistria as it recovers from an earthquake, farming crops, mining ore, fighting monsters, and learning magic alongside a cast of romanceable villagers with full voice acting. The 1.0 update added marriage, children, deeper romance content, more town progression, and higher renown limits, making the world feel far more finished than it did during early access. There's still no official Switch announcement, but the game ships with Nintendo-style controller prompts baked into its settings menu, which has fans fairly convinced a port is coming eventually. The Witch's Bakery follows Lune, a young witch who moves to modern Paris to open a bakery with a strange gift. She can see into people's hearts and heal their emotions through her pastries. Days split into 3 phases: daytime for running the bakery and serving customers with her team of friends, evening for exploring Paris, building relationships, and uncovering the city's secrets, and night for resting, decorating the bakery, and improving her magic. When someone's emotions are locked away too tightly, Lune enters their Heart Palace, a personified space representing their struggles, where she has to track down the key ingredient for a bread that will actually heal them. It's a 2D adventure RPG rather than a straightforward cooking sim, so there's a real story running underneath the daily loop. After a delay, it's now set for October 14th, 2026 digitally, with the physical Switch and Switch 2 editions following on October 16th. One Piece Grand Gourmet drops the fighting and turns it into a restaurant management sim. You join the Straw Hats as a new staff member aboard the Baratier No. 2, cooking alongside Sanji, gathering ingredients, building out signature menus, and arranging dishes into meal sets you can keep expanding as you find more recipes. Decorating gets its own layer too, with over 200 furniture and building items to choose from, ranging from whole cake island desserts to futuristic egghead pieces. And if a character likes your design enough, they might become a regular. More than 400 characters show up as staff or customers, all redone in a pixel art style the series hasn't used before, giving room for character events and interactions that don't exist anywhere else in the franchise. Recipes range from familiar dishes like Water Meat Barbecue to ones inspired by devil fruit powers. It releases October 23rd, 2026 on Switch, Switch 2, PC, and mobile.
The right dishes and decor will have guests coming back for more. There are over 400 characters.
Hela of Mice and Magic puts you in the paws of a mouse familiar, serving an old witch who's grown too weak to care for her land alone after years of looking after every plant, animal, and person around her. Set in a world inspired by northern Sweden's Norrland region, it's a 3D co-op adventure about gathering ingredients, brewing potions, and helping the local wildlife while exploring rugged mountain trails, magical forests, and tranquil lakes at your own pace. Each mouse carries a small, magical, frog-shaped backpack from the witch, and there's a shade system for solo players, letting them create magical copies of themselves to solve puzzles that would normally require a second player, like launching yourself into the air with a rope and scoop setup and switching control mid-flight. Up to 4 people can play together online, or you can team up locally in split screen with a friend. Developer Wind Up Games has confirmed a Q4 2026 release across PC, Xbox Series X, S, PS5, and Switch 2. Starsand Island wraps up its early access run and hits full release on August 18th, 2026, coming to Switch, Switch 2, PS5, Xbox, and PC. Developed by Seed Sparkle Lab and inspired by the Chinese countryside and traditional Eastern philosophy, it drops you back on your childhood island to build a home, cultivate land, and dig into ancient ruins hidden in places like the moonlit forest, uncovering rare treasures and unusual creatures along the way. You can specialize as an angler, crafter, explorer, farmer, or rancher, and there's a genuinely wide vehicle roster for getting around, from longboards and scooters to boats and small planes. The 1.0 update adds online multiplayer for up to 4 players, 19 NPCs getting new relationship quests, expanded dating content across 14 romanceable characters, including picnics and arcade games, and a seasonal autumn pumpkin carnival with its own storyline. A physical edition follows on November 12th. That covers 10 worth watching right now, from puzzle co-op to restaurant sims to island living. Release dates shift, so treat these as a starting point rather than a promise, and check the storefront before you buy. Let me know which one you're actually planning to pick up, and I'll catch you in the next one.